Kicking out Norfolina's way. Here comes Dayden. Scramble. Tigers. Alex Twal. Alex Twal has ended up with a ball. Oh no. Unbelievable. One small step for man. One giant leap for Alex Twal.
Welcome to the Ultimate Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Chaos. Chaos is probably one word to describe round 26 of NRL. Welcome back to the Insight NRL show. We're live for the Sunday Sesh to talk you through all things round 26, all things for the week just gone. The show's brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead and the Standard Squeeze. We thank them for their support. I am the Supercoach Brain, and the Supercoach Mattrix is with me, fresh from his deer hunting trip by the looks of that jacket. How you going, mate?
Yeah. Look, I'm warm. I've watched some footy on the weekend. The Broncos won, and it didn't all come up good for Supercoach. But at this time of the year, this is where I'm at.
Killer, man. Like this. It's grand final week, the most important week of the year when you're talking Supercoach. And it was probably I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong here, the most chaotic week of Supercoach we've had all year.
Yep.
Like, we've got Manu going down with a hamstring injury. A lot of people captain him, including myself. We've got potential suspensions for next year. We've got send-offs. We've got sin bins. We've got all sorts of stuff happening this week.
We had Nico getting ruled out last minute. We had Paddy Carrigan getting ruled out last minute. Like, I know people that had Paddy Carrigan and they were coming into their grand final and they just had to play their grand final with 16 because they had no trades left.
Yeah, and trades, honestly, were the determining factor between whether you won your grand final or not, honestly. Like the captain's choice, whether you captain Manu or whether you captain Ponga or Cleary or whoever, and then trades were probably the two most important things this week. So,
and I feel for
hopefully...
people. I feel for people if they lost because of an injury right there at the end of the year. Like I'll live with the fact that with like a Dallin, or I'll live with the fact that, maybe you select a winger and they go the other side or whatever. But I tell you what, a hamstring injury like that just ruins you.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, Like, I think a lot of people that went and got Manu this week, like me, and went and captained him because he was playing at fullback, it wasn't the wrong decision. Doesn't mean it was the wrong choice. It just means that you're unlucky. That's literally it. There's nothing you could have done. There's no decision you could have made to predict an injury. No one can do that. So you've just got to kind of lick your wounds and push on. And maybe if you're in a run for top 1,000 or something, you can get yourself some nice juicy KFC to make yourself feel a bit better about the Joey Manu hammy, then you can do that. But no, that's Supercoach. That's fantasy sport in general. You can't predict injuries. It is what it is. We'll talk through them all. Talk through the injuries. Yep. We'll talk through all the shit scores. We'll talk through the good ones as we do, the winners and losers every single week on Sunday. We'll answer your questions as well. So if you've got any questions for next week and you're in the run for overall, or for some bizarre reason, maybe your league is set up to finish in round 27, first of all, talk to your commissioner and sort that shit out. But secondly, if you do have some moves to make next week, or you're in the hunt for the top 1,000, I know there's a few viewers that are, hit us up. We'll talk to you about that. We probably both aren't. But we'll talk to you about the moves we would make if we have trades, or the moves we would make if we were in the position that you are. Guys, and lastly, if it's the second last Sunday Sesh, I'm getting a little bit sentimental here. It's the second last one for the season. So if you would like to support the show, please hit subscribe at the bottom if you haven't yet, so that you can get all of the future episodes pinged straight to your phone. Please hit like, obviously, if you like the content as well. And if you are listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts, hit that follow button, leave us a review. Tell a mate about the pod that maybe didn't listen to us this year, because we are coming back strong next year, bigger and better, of course. And Matty, we've got some NBL Supercoach coming, which is really exciting, very soon. If not, correct me if I'm wrong, is that next week?
Yeah. Next week we should start rolling out content. I think it's about 30 days away. The first year of NBL Supercoach. So I suppose we're going to be bringing in people that know NBL fantasy, and then some blokes that I suppose have the perspective of NRL Supercoach and AFL Supercoach. We'll try and manipulate the game from a Supercoach standpoint. Have some heads up. I follow all the basketball anyway. Have some heads up from an NBL fantasy standpoint. And as we merge them together, we'll try and manipulate the game and try and, I suppose, you get double game weeks and some stuff like that in NBL, which, yeah, the scheduling's really important. So hopefully listen to us for, I don't know, an hour a week will, get your trades right.
For sure. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know the first thing about NBL, if I'm honest. Like, I know Supercoach back to front, and I know the way the game works. I played BBL as well for a couple of years, so I understand the way that the double game weeks work and the scheduling works. We recently put some stuff up on the Insight Twitter as well, or X as you call it now, where you're going to have to target those double game weeks and those teams that are actually starting red hot with double fixtures in game weeks. So that's going to be really interesting to look at. So I'm looking forward to listening to yourself and the Supercoach Hawk, Robbie Kennedy, who runs our AFL pod, put out some content very soon. Good times. How'd you go, mate? How'd you go this week?
Garbage. 11-20. Look, it could have been worse. Essentially, I had Cleary. I decided to keep Nico in case he plays next week. I traded in Marju, which was okay. Traded in Dallin, which was not, and captained Joey Manu. Honestly, everywhere else, my team did okay. There was no really low scores to talk about except for Dallin. Maybe Reed Marnie, but you get that after not trading in hookers basically for the whole year. I think I made one trade in hooker all year. Didn't play Christian Welch, 375, but realistically, had Hamoli, had Munster. Could have been, I suppose it could have been worse, really. I just missed the captain. Basically, the difference between a 1,300 score and that 11-20 was my captain. Yeah,
I finished on 12-22. I won 2 grand finals, so I knocked off. I won the Tigers Addicts first league, which is cool, and I also won the Molten League that we set up at the start of the year. So that was good times. I got knocked off in my work one, funnily enough. Remember the shade that I threw, and I said there's only one good Supercoach player at my work? He knocked me off this week. So
well, you did say that he was one good Supercoach player. So
that's true. I did give him props. But yeah, 12-22 wasn't enough for him. He had Captain Ponga, so he got me by about 60 or 70 points, and the Manu captain ruined me in that one. But luckily, I won the others. And hey, is it 2-0? It's for anybody watching or not watching. Maddie's just flicked me the bird, which is fair. I've got to take my wins when I get them.
Yeah, you tidied me up in draft this week. Basically, I just didn't have Ponga. That was the long and short of it.
Yeah, and also Jerome Hughes going off injured, 25 minutes early, kind of hurt when he's the captain. So he could have easily picked up another try and a try and assist or something. So that could have been the difference.
And I had Paddy Carrigan in that league too. So ended up picking up, I can't remember who I picked up. Ended up picking up Lindsay Collins and Victor Radley off waivers, just to give you a bit of a run. And that worked out really well. Just sat Dom Young instead of Mulatalo, just a few things like that. So, you know what? I had Xavier Coates and Will Warbrick, which was a bad idea, but I just couldn't let them sit on waivers, and just played the wrong one this week as well. So, yeah,
that's fair. I think, it's everybody laughed at me when I drafted Kalen Ponga at the start of the year, and I rode the wave when he got knocked out, and everyone was going, "Oh, he's not going to play again," and all these other armchair experts coming out diagnosing him. Dr. Google playing a part, but hey, I held strong, and I also had Dylan Brown. So, and I also have Sam Walker. So those 3 guys, I mean, elite super coaches, but have been in and out all year essentially. So I held tight on those. Luckily, I didn't drop any of them. So that's a good lesson to anybody. If you do have injuries and it's not season ending, and they're quality elite players, it's worth holding those guys and filling your gaps off waivers, because it does play a part when you get a little bit closer to the end of the season. I brought Drinky in for Latrell this week. That played out pretty well for me. I think it was 118 Drinky finished with. But I brought Manu in for Garrick. Look, I mean, I got 17 more points than I would have got, but didn't play out exactly the way I wanted it to. Matty, quick shout out to Ryan from Astute Newstead. everybody would know by now Ryan's been on board for a couple of weeks now. We thank him for his support. But for anybody who's looking to kind of refinance their mortgage, or it might not even be your mortgage, it might be a vehicle loan, it might be a business loan, it might be a personal loan that you're looking for, Ryan's got you covered from Astute Newstead. So if you're ever wondering what the best bank is, or maybe you're wondering if your current rate's too high, or even if you can afford your own home or the next home that you're looking at, you don't have to worry anymore because Ryan's got you covered. His details are in the description below. You can hit him up on Instagram, or you can give him a call or send him an email. He will get back to you and give you a no obligation consultation. So he doesn't charge like other lenders as well. A lot of other lenders, they'll hit you up for a fee when they meet with you and talk to you about what you got going on. So Ryan, all free, doesn't charge a fee, and plenty of different loans there. So you can reach out to him. Use the code INSIGHT. He'll look after you. And we've both worked with Ryan personally, can definitely vouch for the quality of service that he offers. So, Matty, Eels 32, Panthers 18. And tell me this wasn't the only tip that people got wrong this week if they're doing footy tipping, because no one picked this.
Absolutely nobody picked this. And legit, the favourites won, I think, in every other game. Oh, especially after, I suppose, Nico got ruled out, but I didn't see this coming. Like, even with the guys that they sat, I just never saw this coming. Anyway, goes to show that the Eels are ready for next year.
Yeah, ready for Mad Monday, the boys. Especially Mike Acevo, 154. I saw a few things floating around in Facebook groups this week about, Mike Acevo, best trade-in ever. I'm like, who the fuck's trading in Mike Acevo this week against the Panthers? That could have been probably the worst trade-in ever that ended up with the best result. So 154 he finished with.
But if you listen to us, you trade in Dallin. So,
hey, maybe these guys should have a podcast.
Sometimes it just goes to show that like logic doesn't come in. Like, you can look at as many of the stats and everything. Like, you just can't. Like, Joey Manu at fullback was the perfect play, but you can't predict a hammy, and you cannot predict Mike Acevo scoring 154 against the Panthers. That could be the best Supercoach event I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely. I mean, Gutho 118 didn't miss either. So the Panthers were very un-Panther-like this week. Like, their edge defense was just terrible. Eels had it all over him. Gutho was running amok, actually goal kicking relatively well as well. So 118 for him. Nathan Cleary still finished on a 109 with plenty of junk right at the end. Scored a try off a dropout or whatever it was. He had 89 overnight and got 20 unicorn points, which is typical Nathan
That's
Cleary,
our boy.
really, isn't it?
That's our boy.
I look at my VC and I look at 109, then I look at my captain who got me 34, and I'm like, the loop would have been fantastic this week, because honestly, it was just Christian Welch and Max King for me, I think, and I would have copped a 50. So
yeah.
Anyway, is what it is. That's Supercoach. Tom Jenkins 96 looked the goods. He's been good all year, really. He's had a few chances to fill in for Brian Toto, so he's been great. Dylan Brown with an 81 as well was really solid, and proving to us, obviously, and reminding us maybe because of the time he had off, that he is still an elite 5'8", and probably a top 3 5'8" in the competition with Munster and Cody Walker, or in Supercoach anyway. So he was quality, and then we just got Liam Martin 78. No one really owns him. Bryce Cartwright, if you held on to him, 75, and Hopgood 74. Were the other mentionable scores here, mate. Anything else in this one that grabbed you?
Not really. It's just like if Tom Jenkins did get a starting spot, I think he scored 5 tries in 5 games ever. Like, just something to look at, that if in the future he become a starting guy, you'd want him in your team. And I'm just starting to, I suppose I shouldn't be doing it, but I'm just starting to already look towards next week. Looks like Luai might be out for a little bit, which is relevant to, I suppose, for next week, and relevant to their title chances.
Would you say it's relevant to anybody? And look, maybe you're in a draft grand final that finishes next week. You got Sania Taruva in your team. Is that relevant to him on the left edge? Is Luai going to, obviously not Luai not being there, is that going to impact those guys? Like, maybe Isaac Tungo comes back next week as well. Does that hurt those guys?
Yeah, I think that it does. I don't think you want to delve in too much, that if you've got Isaac Tungo. If you've held Isaac Tungo through this, you're not going to drop him. But maybe you just don't get him in next week if that was in your plans. Maybe you just sit Taruva. I'm sure you've got depth at this point if you're holding Taruva. And then if you've got Luai in a draft final or something like that, then yeah, you're just going to have to search on the waivers.
How much does Sonny Luke scoring the same as Brian To'o hurt owners this week? Because you got a guy that's basement price 200K and done nothing all year, and you got Brian To'o that people have gone and bought this week.
Yeah, that's a real killer, but I don't feel sorry for him when people have bought Manu out there. So
I'll tell you what I'm very excited about though in this one before we wrap this one up and move on to the Warriors game. Sean Lane, 8 points this week, so that drags him down to probably 430 to 420K next week. He will be he should be 100% owned next preseason.
Yep, and probably will be 85% owned.
Has to be one of the most owned players that in Supercoach at the start of a season, along with guys like Cleary and Nico and Pappenhausen. Pappenhausen will be at a nice discount, obviously, with missing this year, so he'll be one of the guys that'll be very heavily owned. But Sean Lane will be up there. Angus Crichton will be up there as well. So we'll definitely start talking about these guys in preseason once pricing comes out next year, but we're still 6 months away, so you don't have to worry about that just yet. Mate, let's actually, we've got a few questions or comments coming in, so we'll give a few shout-outs to the guys that have scored well this week before we move on to the next game. Raymond Crane with a 1286. Very nice score with only 16 players this week as well. So he's knocked me off. I had a full squad this week for 1222. So it goes to show that when you get your captain wrong, it hurts you. We've got Brad and Sally Ferguson on. We've got Herbie as well, having a brag about the Melbourne Storm, who probably couldn't name more than 3 players from that team. So g'day, Herbie. Thanks for hopping on.
Go Norths.
The Norths that managed to play themselves out of the number 1 pick this week. So what's going on there? I mean, the Tigers couldn't win a game if we tried. The Tigers couldn't even win a game if we tried, though. So the North Kangaroos have definitely something on the Tigers, unfortunately. But and Herbie's also said Deer Hunter by day, Brisbane Bullets player by night for that jersey. Is it a Sobey jersey?
Yeah, it's a Sobey jersey.
How good. Love that.
I might be going
Mark's
down to the NBL
well.
Blitz. I'm pretty keen.
Yeah, awesome. Bit of content coming, I'm sure, if you're going to be down there. Anthony McElroy, 1306. He had Manu and DWZ this week as well, but it just shows that, a couple of players and obviously a captain's choice makes a huge difference there. Adam S with a 1459, a season high in round 26 in a grand final. How good's that? Well played, mate. Up to 5K overall as well, or pushing for a 5K overall. Great stuff. Derek Peters with a 1442 is a big score as well. He got Manu in with his last trade. I did too. It is what it is. That's, there's not much you can do about that. I'm assuming it's Brad with us, but let us know if it's Sally on. Scored 1156 with 16 players this week. No trades. So maybe Brad didn't listen to us throughout the year and hold a trade for this week, but that's okay.
Do you want to know what? Like all these people that burnt their trades early and then they bring in Joey Manu and then the guys that have their trades bring in Joey Manu and TWZ and get absolutely
you end up in the same spot.
Like, fuck. It's killer. We did this all year for this, guys. This is fantastic.
How good. 30 weeks of prep. We did like maybe 4 to 5 weeks of preseason content as well. A deep dive on every team and every position and players you need to look out for, all for Manu to go down with the hammy. How good. Simon Brown, 983, not the best week. Captain Manu had Nico and Paddy, didn't realise they'd been ruled out until at the end. Mate, honestly, Simon, if you're not on Twitter, I'd recommend doing it because there are some people that put some late mail on there. Follow them. Or follow us on Twitter and we'll put the late mail out for you. Usually we try our best. That way then you don't get caught short. It definitely helped me. Mark with a 12-14 with 16 players. Bit of an inside joke and inside Molten joke. We're talking about Franks. Do you want to elaborate?
Oh, Robert Franks that used to play for the Bullets. One time I was absolutely pizzled playing 2K with it. Oh, probably Madden actually, no one Justin. And I was just going on that Robert Franks, when he played for the Bullets, should be the MVP for the year. And I just ended up said like Mitch Creek, Bryce Cotton, whatever. We're talking about Franks. And Yeah, it's just he played for the 36ers for years. He's playing in Israel or Saudi or somewhere now, and we're still talking about it. So
Still talking about Franks. I like it. Mickey Dell from the AFL podcast. Thanks for the content this year, lads. Ripper duo. Yeah, we do all right. Looking forward to next year. Yes. Look, we're going to have some time off, which is good. Maddie's probably sick of me, which is, we need a bit of a break. We've done, I think I calculated it throughout the week, and I'm like, how many fucking NRL podcasts have we done this year? So we did obviously 17 team previews. We did 7 positional analysis. We did about 3 drafts. So we did 27 episodes before we even started the year. And then we did I reckon we probably did 2.5 episodes, or at least 2 episodes a week. Maybe even 3 for the majority of the week at the back end of the year. We nearly hit 100 podcasts this year just for NRL, which is pretty cool. So you're probably looking forward to ripping in with Rob for some NBL content, bit of a change of pace for you.
Yeah, it's a bit of a swingers party here at Insight Fantasy Sports, where we're swapping partners with the AFL pod, and look, I'm excited to try something new.
I'm all for swingers parties, by the way. I'm going to team up with Mickey Dell for BBL at the back end of the year. So we'll start some content maybe late October. The BBL, for anybody who follows the BBL, the draft is coming up really early it's coming up next week, which is exciting. So the international draft is coming. We're going to know where some of these players are going to drop. So we'll do a bit of a podcast maybe mid-September to kind of update everybody on where that's at if you're an avid BBL follower. I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than watching a BBL match with the Christmas tree up in the corner of the lounge room. It's just that time of the year that you've got a 10, maybe you've got a Corona, or you've got maybe a Bolter or something if you're really fancy. And you're sitting there watching the Perth Scorchers, and you're watching maybe someone like Faf du Plessis come out and he just bombs them over the top, the opening bowler. And that's living, Barry.
Fuck. I love it when they start a bit early when it gets close to Christmas because some people are off, and then it comes on at like 2:00 while you're at work.
Yep.
Nobody does anything all afternoon. It's fantastic.
Hey, mate, I've seen your beer fridge at work. It could get a fucking battering at Christmas, I reckon. Mark was going to say, I was going to say, anyone who brought in Sivo knows nothing about Supercoach. Was rocking a 3-game average of 12.7, and then brought in Nick Kotrick 2 weeks ago at 200k and got 57 and 60. Hey, honestly, if you've got that insight and mate, you need to flick us a message, because I would have brought Sivo in. If somebody told me, no, actually, that's a lie. There's no way I'm fucking bringing that guy in. But hey, Nick Kotrick is not bad look.
How good did he look the other night?
He's got a fresh fade. Every single time I see him play, he's got the freshest haircut ever. He's got a good barber, Nick Kotrick. R. Newen, 1360 this week, had DWZ and Manu. Look, honestly, most people had DWZ and Manu who know what they're doing. And honestly, how about this bloke's YouTube picture, by the way? He's more shredded than a julienne salad. Good on you, Arn. For anybody who picks that reference up, let me know in the comments as well. I'm hoping someone's picked up on that movie reference. Brad tried to keep trades down. I'm a helpless trader. Hey, no, we've got a few of them. Special shout out to Brent in the Discord for insight. Loves a trade. Ran out about 4 weeks ago, the great man. So you're not the only one.
Did he do the power trade or whatever it is in FPL in the first week too?
Yeah, he wildcarded after 1 week. It's outstanding.
Helpless trader.
Outstanding.
Helpless trader.
That's it. Let's move on. This is good.
Let's talk about
the
Warriors
did I cut you
and
off?
the Dragons. Yeah, let's talk about the Warriors and the Dragons.
Lead us in, mate. C&K 89 thoughts?
Oh, just a great treat to own all year. Honestly, just brilliant.
You bought him in fucking real early, man. That was a really good call by you. And he was one of those guys that I wanted to get in, but other trades kept popping up. You bit the bullet real early.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where wasn't that high on just the fact of just getting in fullbacks for the sake of getting in fullbacks. Like people were getting in Sloan early, people were getting in Hammer early. I know that we missed the trick with those, but he'd had his first price rise, and I'm just like, this guy just looks like he could just keep soaring. And he's become a season-long keeper after getting him in round 4 or 5. Just really good. Like, who could think that the Warriors were going to be this good this year? But yeah, just a great trade to own for the year.
So good, man. And so good to watch. Like, he's just in everything. So, and his connection with SJ been so good. So, AFB 84 hurt me. I'm in a head-to-head final against a guy that had AFB, and he fucking trips on his own shoelaces and falls over and scores one in the fucking in-goal. And I thought, this is just my week. It's just going to be one of those weeks where, all the players I'm playing against do well and my guys do shit. 84 he finished with, probably could have finished on maybe a 70 or a 65, which it's all part of the game. Other scores here, Blake Laurie with a 76, Adam Pompey with a 70. No one owns those guys, so not an issue there. Tohu Harris with a 60. He got a bit of a downgrade. I was looking at his score earlier, and he was on 63.
Yeah,
we have a bolter bet on Tohu Harris, and I haven't forgotten it. Because currently, before this game, he averaged 66.9. We've got a bolter bet that he averages over 65 for the season. So this could come down to next week. And I'm very fucking nervous. I'm actually hoping he gets sat next week. The Warriors can't do any better or worse. So it doesn't matter if he plays, and this is a week that he should sit. So for the bolter bet gods, Tohu Harris, you don't need to play next week, mate.
100%. I don't know who else to talk about. Like, you don't want to look at anyone from the Dragons. There's no one Supercoach relevant. Honestly, I could see myself starting next year without one Dragon on my team again. They just don't look like they're getting any better either. Like, they played all right against the Warriors for how good the Warriors have been watching the game. But realistically, I just have no interest in them from a Supercoach standpoint.
Yeah. No, completely agree. They're a shit-ass team. And it's the same as the Tigers, except maybe there's a couple of guys that have come over from other clubs or just have attacking upside that you look at. Like Buller was a great option as a rookie. Isaiah Papali'i come across from Parramatta, and everybody knows he was the best front row forward last year. Johnny Bateman came across from England, who was outstanding when he played for the Raiders in the NRL 2-3 years ago. So like, there's options there.
Whereas, the Tigers are a bit better in attack, yeah.
Are they though? I don't know.
They were when Buller was, slinging
Pumping
everything, and Bateman was moving forward, and I think Luke Brooks has lost a little bit of interest.
Luke Brooks lost interest in fucking 2012, mate. I wouldn't worry about Luke Brooks. Sean Johnson with a 50, Jackson Ford with a 47 off the bench. Most people would have sat him, so probably the right decision. Dallin Watani-Zelezniak, 25. Did you bring him in?
Yeah.
Yep. Spewing. I did. I nearly did by about 2 hours. About 2 hours before the game, I went and picked my little man up from daycare, and I thought, I'm on the way home, and I'm thinking, fuck, there's a real good chance here that he just has a quiet one. And what you said on last Tuesday really stuck with me. Like, the Dragons haven't actually been that bad. They haven't been terrible. Defensively, they've been okay. So I'm like, look, when we look at Warbrick scoring a hat-trick the week before, and obviously like Dallin last time scoring 175, I think that skewed a lot of people, and it was still the right play. I still think Dallin was the right play this week. It just didn't play out. And obviously the Dragons were very aware of where they're going to be targeted down that left edge. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, no luck for Dallin. Mate, I'm sick of talking about the Dragons-Warriors game, so we can move on from this one. Yep. Cowboys 34, Dolphins 10. Thoughts on this one? A couple of big scorers in this one and a couple of well-owned guys.
Yeah, look, Dolphins are bad. Cowboys are trying to make a run. That sounded like the start of a poem. Getting forwards from the Dolphins in your team is really dumb. That was about the best I could do.
That's cool.
Look,
you've done well.
Yeah. That was impromptu, just so you know. Look, Scotty Drinkwater, 124, just proves why he's been the best, probably the second best player in Supercoach all year. Jermaine Asako, 111 in an absolute pizzling. Like, I regret trading him out, but it is what it is. Hammer at fullback becomes just somebody that you want in your team. We were wrong at the start of the year. But I think as the Dolphins sort of build from this year, I think a lot of this, like getting Kafusi and getting, the Bromwich brothers and some of these older blokes in, I think as they move forward, this team's going to be a lot better. But I think Asako, Hammer, Ewan Aitken, and all those blokes are there to stay, and they'll be very good football players going into next year as well for Supercoach. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. The Scotty Drinkwater, man, has been an absolute revelation this year. He's been, if you got on at 600K, 650K, or whatever it was when he bottomed out, you are a fucking wizard. And we want you on the podcast, so hit us up. If you get in our inbox if you got Scotty Drinkwater out when he or you got him in when he bottomed out. 124. I got him in this week. I'm very happy about that move. I nearly got Dallin, so that's a 100-point swing. That probably would have cost me a couple of head-to-head grand finals, to be fair, if I made that move. Let me tell you this. Jermaine Asako, we bashed the living shit out of this bloke and Hammer in preseason. Not only did we talk shit about the Dolphins, and we said...
I bashed Hammer. Not my boy Asako.
I bashed both. 100%. I'll admit when I'm wrong.
You gave me a massive spray when he was. Remember during the preseason pods, we were doing a like a point of difference Dolphins. Or whatever, and mine was Asako, and you just absolutely gave me a spray live. So
I want to try and find that episode. Maybe we'll go back and we'll try and find a few takes from like preseason, and we'll play them maybe in the last episode of the year or something as a bit of a piss take. Because fuck, we got some right. Don't get me wrong, we got some real good takes, but we got some stinkers as well. So it's fun. It's fun to be able to take the piss out of yourself here and there. Labour 91, Tuolangi 89 in this one. Hammer 73. I played him this week because I had no other choice. Kyle Felt 70. So some decent scores in this game. 34 points for the Cowboys. You'd hope there would be some scores that come from that. Connolly Lemuelu, 61. If you played him in the centre wing, or maybe you had him as a dual to flip between the positions, you did pretty well. Harrison Graham, 50. I got him in draft. I'm pretty happy with that one. The man he's just a tackle bot.
He got 46 tackles, I think.
Yeah, he did. Did nothing in attack. Didn't need to, though. Just passed off the ground, which is fine. Talk to me about the demise, I'm going to call it, of Jason Taumalolo. He is 388,000. And he only just covered his break even this week by 1 point with a 34. What is going on with JT? Because this is criminal that he's scoring this low in Supercoach.
I actually searched how old he was the other day just because I'm like, is he that old that like, I think he's just body's breaking down and he's just not 100%. He's just not 100% there at the moment. The Cowboys, I always expected once the Cowboys just started playing better that he would be one of the guys that start going forward. But yeah, just like with the rise of Ruben Cotter, there's been the fall of Jason Taumalolo.
Brutal. Really, really disappointing. But anyway, that's all right. It is what it is. There's plenty of other players coming up. Let's move on. Melbourne Storm 37, Gold Coast Titans 16 points. We knew there was going to be some points scored in this game, didn't we? It was going to be those. Yeah. It was always going the overs. And as a punter, you're taking the overs every day of the week. Xavier Coates, 89. Brian Kelly got a 97. Tino with an 85 is popular. Munster with an 87. Eli Katoa with an 82. Your boy, Jerome Hughes with an 82, somehow in like 50-odd minutes, which is very impressive.
He was
Randall with a 75.
Like 130, I reckon.
Yeah. I agree with that. And Eli Katoa probably would have benefited from keeping Jerome Hughes on the field as well on the right-hand side. Nick Meaney with a 75. Christian Welch, I sat him for a 75, which was fantastic. Every time I sit the bloke, he gets a fucking try. So I'll let everybody know when I'm going to sit him next time, and he's a guaranteed lock to score. Ryan Pappenhausen with an 11, though, is my big point from this game because he's got a break-even of 100. He's 950K, and he got an 11, which means he's going to drop down to about 850 next week, roughly. Give or take. And then potentially his average this year in the regular season could end up sub 30. Let's hope that influences the scoring and the way that it's priced next year, because Pappy could be sub 600K next year like Turbo was the year before.
Yep. And I think that he'll be one of the first guys I add. It's hard because I think I've said that about 3 fullbacks and you just can't do it. Yeah, it is going to be hard to fit all these guys in, but I think Pappenhausen, if he's 600K, I will have the same opinion that I had with Turbo this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Turbo is too good to pass up, and so will Pappy be if he's in that price range. Anybody else in this one? David Fafita, 47. Fuck me. I mean, I thought Fafita was a lock considering he scored 70 or 80 last week against the Panthers. Like, I thought he would have gone 50, 60, or at least 70. 47, bit disappointing for him.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit disappointing, but I suppose when you're absolutely getting pumped, he sort of looked like, when he was close to the line, he looked like he was trying, but, didn't run it out of the back too much. Sort of maybe lost a bit of interest.
Yeah, well, he's put his signature down on a piece of paper, and it seems like that's quickly ended things for him, hasn't it? So, yeah, hey, good luck to him. He's getting paid. So he's locked his future up with the Titans.
People that I bring up all the time, AJ Brimson come in, scored 70, 520K, could be a guy to look to next year. I know I was really high on him and he sort of didn't come good, kept scoring those sort of 40s or 50s when the Titans were bad. If the Titans can play a bit better, I think that he can be a lot more involved. So,
hey, I like it. The only issue with Brimson is that he's not going to have the 5'8" duel next year. Didn't play 5'8" at all this year.
True.
So you're going to have to pick him up at fullback, which means you're picking him over guys like Teddy, Turbo, Happy. Yeah, fuck. All of these guys. Anyway, very, very big point of difference. Do you have the balls in you to go with Brimson again next year?
Fuck yeah. I'd just double down. I'm going to get Hudson Young. Hudson Young and Brimson are going to be my first two added next year. Always been a big Hudson Young fan. Yeah, love it.
He's earned himself a nickname in the Discord, by the way, of Spudson Young, after we spruced him for about maybe a month, saying this guy's the next coming of Jesus. And then we finally got him in, and he averaged about 47. So yeah, good times. And he fucking scored a try on this week, and we'll talk about it soon. He scored a try and still only got 54. He had 48 or something at halftime. Spudson, what are you doing?
Yep.
You're just killing my Supercoach hopes and dreams.
Yeah, it's just and the best comparison is somebody like Nanai. He is just a try-scoring bloke, and Canberra actually haven't had that many tries in him this year. That's probably the bigger, I suppose, the analyst perspective is Canberra have scored 3 tries a game and just defended really well. So, yeah, he needs to be in. They need to score 5 tries, and he's going to score 1 or 2 of them every day, I reckon. So,
Yep. Fair call. Quick shout out, Standard Squeeze. The boys at the Standard Squeeze are obviously sponsoring the show each and every week since the preseason as well. The boys have come on board. We thank them for their support. Ash and the boys over at the Standard Squeeze are fantastic, and they look after us. Speaking of the Standard Squeeze, you can use a discount code Insight15. It'll get you 15% off if you go to thestandardsqueeze.com and use that code. Now, I've got my 4-in-1. Now, I want to give Matty a shout out here. I don't give him props too often, but fuck, he's been under the weather the last 24 hours or so. I messaged him yesterday at about 6 p.m. saying, well, there goes my season, Joey Manu. He messages me back at about fucking midday today going, oh, sorry, man. It's out of action. No good. So, mate, full credit to you. I'm actually surprised you're not on the beers, though, to be fair.
Fuck. I tell you what, after how much time I spent on the toilet in the last 24 hours, I don't even think I could stomach one, to be completely honest. I tell you what, by the end of it, it looked like a 4X Gold coming out.
We're live, so we can't edit that out. That's shocking. Anyway, we're honest. We are honest at the Insight Podcast Network, so we thank everybody for sticking around, but we don't blame you if you jump off right now. That's fair. Hey, some quick questions or some comments, I guess, around some scores. Matthew Granger's wild carded as well, FBL player, and he's already wild carded. I'm not sure whether I love it or hate it. I love the fact that you just can't help yourself, but I hate it because it's just not the right play. In saying that, though, it's week 4 of FPL next week, and I might wild card next week.
Fuck. In saying that, I didn't wildcard after 1 week, and I think I scored about 34 in week 2 after scoring 120 odd in the first week. So
things worked out really well for you. Good. The Degenerate Supercoach, 1260 with a captain on Manu. Welcome to the club. Saved my round trading Hines to DCE. Yeah, the DCE play was really nice for anybody who traded Hines to DCE. It looks like Hines is going to be back next week, though. So hopefully Hines repays the holders, or the people with no trades, probably a better way to explain it. And goes and gets us a 120. That is also me. What else have we got? Lomax could be a shout if he plays fullback. Yeah, he could. I don't see Tyrell Sloan losing that position, though. Mark thinks maybe Lomax might play fullback. Who knows?
Yeah.
If he is, yeah, great. Goal-kicking fullback on a terrible team. Probably still better options. Raymond Campbell has gone and brushed the voice to come on and listen to us. That is seriously impressive. Thank you, Raymond, for hopping on. 14-34 for the old boys, winning 3 out of 3 grand finals and 2 top 4s and a bottom half. Congratulations, mate.
Big
Good
dog's
on you.
got
That's
game.
He has. Hopefully, he's been listening to the inside as well. Hopefully, we can claim some of his glory. Mark, buying Ponga at 500k was my drink water worthy moment. Absolutely. I'm with you on that one. I'm very happy to own Ponga from the early 500k mark. So that worked out beautifully.
Yeah, Mark, I owned him at 500k too. And then he got HIA'd and then didn't play for about 5 weeks. And then I didn't get him back until he was about 800k. So yeah, that wasn't my drink water moment buying him cheap. Mine was spruiking him all preseason and then starting the year with him.
Yes, and then it's more drink 4x gold moment for you, trading him out. But hey, it's the right move to trade him out too. He didn't play for a month. He just had to. It's just bad timing. It is what.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things you can't help. Brad, I really enjoyed the first year of playing Supercoach. Good on you, man, for getting involved as well. First year to watch YouTube and to follow a podcast and stuff is pretty cool too. I honestly, the first 4 or 5 years I played Supercoach, I didn't follow any podcasts. I just winged it and I just went, oh, I'll get these players in because I like them. So the fact that you've actually wanted to do this properly is cool. Currently sitting in the top 2,000 in his first year. I think in my first year as Supercoach, I came like 25,000th. So very, very impressive. Good on you, man. And thanks for the shout out as well. We've enjoyed ourselves. Adam S sold Hughes to SJ in round 21 for the dream run home. Still 70 points behind and might not even cover it. Yeah, one of those ones you put down in your black book and you go, well, that's a lesson for the year. Got my order Thursday morning, so I got to break in a 4-in-1. Oh yeah, so Adam did put in an order with the standard squeeze using the Insight code, Insight 15, and he got to watch his 4-in-1 with a finals win. Good on him. What a legend.
Lovely.
How good's that? All right, mate, let's rip into these last 4 games. Hey, Roosters 32, Tigers 8. Again, as a Tigers supporter, expected. Now, I tell you what wasn't expected. Joey Manu grabbing his pig string about 20 or 19 minutes into the game. Broke my heart. And then, even worse, to rub it in, watching Joseph Suaalii go to fullback and score 130. That literally just rubbed salt into the wound, and I was like, no, I'm done with Supercoach.
Good call. Good call that whoever was playing fullback was going to score really well. So,
I also said last week, get Joseph Suaalii in as a pod. So I really hope that people listened. I didn't listen. I never listened to myself, but I hope other people listen, because not only am I really good at Supercoach, but I can also see the future. So we'll see for next year.
Actually, Aman was messaging in one of our chats that we're in with, I think, Whisper and Aman and all those sort of blokes. And he's just like, do I bring in Suaalii? I was like, just bring him in. Just bring him in. So I'm curious to see if he actually did.
Yeah, he didn't.
Oh, no.
He didn't. No, I don't think he did. I'm going to go and listen to his pod, though, when he drops it, because he normally does a Sunday review, doesn't he? A little bit later than us. So I'll hop on and see if he did. I'm pretty sure he didn't do it. Brandon Smith, 9. Is it Brandon? Yeah, Brandon Smith, 90. I had to double check that. I'm like, hang on, surely this is Billy Smith. What's Brandon Smith doing at the top of the table here?
I told you 3 or 4 weeks ago to get him for the run home. You would have got your 90 in your head-to-head matchup. He would have. He would have absolutely got me knocked out for his 26 and his 28, though, in round 23 and 24. So thanks for that tip. Yeah, but it was about matchups.
Was it? Okay. Yeah, good. So you told me a month ago to get him in for his 26 and his 28, just to make sure that in the grand final that I won't make, that he gets a 90. Thanks, bro. That's a really good one.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, good. Luke Keary, 86. Tyrell May, 72. Sam Walker, welcome back with a 71. Had a HIA, spent 15 minutes off the field and still finished with a 71. So good result for him. A few people did the Nico Hines to Sam Walker trade as well this week. You wouldn't be upset with it, but you also wouldn't be stoked, would you?
I was so close to it, and then I just thought, Nico next week. Sam Walker's matchup against the Rabbitohs probably isn't the best. let's just get in Dallin and watch how many points he scores. So yeah, worked out really well, man.
Yeah, poor Darren. I'm looking at my captain's choice at the bottom here in the game day. Joey Manu with a 16 scored less than Jared Warrior-Hargraves, who got binned and then didn't come back on the field. So yeah, things went really well. Things went really well for me in this game. Even Billy Smith got 46. Sewer Wong though, Josh Wong, Josh Sewer, same thing. 54 he got. He is a serious talent, this guy, man. He's such a good player.
I just think he might stop Crichton from being re-signed by the Roosters, and might also have, like, I want him at 300k, but like he might be just pricing himself out of a team one get next year.
I completely agree. What's he average this year? 43.2. He'll be priced at around the 410 mark if anything is to go off this year's pricing. So I won't buy him for 410 unless he is the starting edge back rower. Any Tigers worth talking about, mate? You got Bateman 63, Buller 54, IPAP 50.
When you have a look at a team and nobody scores over about 63, you just start to think then this isn't a Supercoach relevant team.
Yeah. I mean, even guys like David Clemmer, 42. Like
just
David Clemmer
away,
used to be a Supercoach beast.
You started the year with Nofaluma. He got 12.
Yeah, I bailed on that one real quick, didn't I? That was a good decision for me to start the year with him. So lesson for future Nathan next year in February, when you're doing your team drafts and you're starting to look at players, you don't look at anyone from the Tigers at all.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
No one from the Tigers, no one from the Dragons. Probably I might even consider the Dolphins, considering they've absolutely bent me over this year. So maybe Dolphins are the play.
I really like Ewan Aitken if he'd come down in price a little bit.
Yeah, Ewan Aitken was such a good Supercoach cash cow like 4 or 5 years ago when he entered the league.
Yeah.
He was so good. And he was dual as well. So it was a good spot.
Yeah. He's still dual. I just love watching him play.
Yep. Let's move on. 29-18, Broncos over the Raiders. Ricky Stewart getting a big fuck off to the cameraman was probably my highlight from this game.
Brilliant. That was the best thing I've ever seen.
Good. So good. Everyone's ripping into him on Twitter. I'm like, fucking good on him. You don't want the camera on you, tell him to fuck off.
Yeah. You just saw live that the police and everything were getting involved. There would have been a riot in Canberra. Holy moly.
Oh, yeah. There was some anger in the press conference as well at the end of the game. So I feel like Ricky Stewart probably brings this on, as bad as it sounds. I love the passion of Ricky Stewart, and he kind of stirs the crowd up a little bit to get a little bit maybe angry or against the officials. So I don't know whether it's a tactic of his, but yeah, there were some angry Canberra Raiders fans there, that's for sure. So first of all, Reece Walsh, 141. Fuck, how good was he? He's just in everything. Everyone was concerned about Reece Walsh having the kicking duties. He gives a shit whether he has the kicking duties or not. He showed everybody he can score 150 on his dick without really having to kick goals at all.
How good is he? Honestly, watching how good Canberra's defense was and watching us win this, I'm starting to think this could be a premiership winning team. Yeah,
and hey, we saw glimpses of what where things can go wrong for the Panthers on the weekend. So this could happen. You're good enough, and you put up 30 points on a team where you have no Adam Reynolds, and you had no Paddy Carrigan, and they're your two best players. So that's huge. That's huge confidence builder.
I've heard Paddy and Adam out next week as well, which is hard work for us. I suppose it just shows that they're not as good as we'd sort of hoped, that maybe they'd just been ruled out, almost resting, has a niggling injury, getting towards the pointy end of the year, and they just rested him. But yeah, it might be a bit worse than that for Paddy and Reno, and we will need them. So.
Yeah, well, if they get a rest next week, fingers crossed, they're good to go the week after. You got the Melbourne Storm next week, so that's definitely no easy matchup either. And who do the Panthers have? Because the Panthers basically have to win, and then the Broncos, if they win, they get them on a premiership, right? So there's plenty to play for next week, which means that there's a good chance that the Panthers don't rest their players next week, which is huge for Supercoach.
Yeah. And I wonder whether Panthers at this stage don't care too much. They are playing the Cowboys, though. So, yeah, it'll be
There's a
interesting
difference
to see
at the moment. So the Warriors and the Melbourne Storm. So the Warriors have a 2-point lead on the Storm in the ladder. So Melbourne have to win next week against the Broncos, which would have huge implications on the top 4. Who do the Warriors have? Because if the Warriors win next week, it doesn't matter for Melbourne.
So the Warriors have the Dolphins, so they'll win.
Yeah, it's a lock. Okay. So basically, if the Broncos win, they've got minor premiership, so it doesn't matter what happens with Penrith. But if Melbourne win and the Warriors lose somehow and the Dolphins beat them, Storm could jump them into 3rd. Because they've got points, they've got for and against above them.
And I'm sort of reserved to the fact that we're probably playing the Storm 2 weeks in a row. Yeah.
You tell me why you would want to finish 3rd when you have to play the Panthers. Surely the Broncos, surely Melbourne would rather finish 4th and play the Broncos.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And then the Panthers have to play the Warriors in the first week of the finals. So, yeah, I don't know. Does Storm rest players next week with the fact that they'd rather finish 4th and 3rd?
Yeah,
that could be a very interesting play out.
Because there's no way Storm can drop to 5th the way that I see it.
No way, not a chance.
Yeah.
Let's move on, mate. Let's move on to the next, the last 2 games, the Sunday games. Manly 42, Bulldogs 24. DCE and Tolu Kola, great trade-ins this week. The Rugby League Guru did both of them, which was genius. 136 for DCE, 124 for Tolu Kola. Even Toff Sipley, 96. Waddell, 98. Blake Wilson, 98. Our boy Hamoli Olakawatu with an 87. Very happy about that one with the meat pie.
Yeah.
He was paying about $3.50 to score as well. Very nice value. Thoughts on this one, mate? Manly obviously put a fair, kind of put him to the sword, I guess. The Bulldogs just defense couldn't hold up with him.
Yeah, like talking about garbage teams that you don't want to add, the Bulldogs still sort of score tries, which is okay. So, yeah, look, there's not too much I want to go through. Just those guys that did go Nico to Daly Cherry Evans. Slow clap to you.
Aman went with Jason Saab this week for a 44. So Jason Saab scored a try for a 44. And look, that it was a nice play targeting that left edge of the Bulldogs. Like I don't mind Jason Saab as a play this week. I had him as an anytime try scorer in a multi. And mind you, I tell you what, my punting was fucking awesome this weekend. Just between you and I got 2 real nice multis paying above $5 each. So that played out nicely. I put them both in the Discord as well. So if you're not in the Discord, get in there. We've got a punting section. We've got a gaming section if you like your PlayStation or your Xbox. We've got fantasy sport in literally every sport you can find, including the NBL that'll start up soon. BBL, NRL, AFL, NBA fantasy is pumping every day. So it's all happening in the Insight Discord. So go to the description below, click on the invite link and jump in and get involved in the chat. Anything else in this game, mate? Look, honestly, there's really not much to talk about aside from, there's not even any kind of bad scores from well-owned players in this because the Bulldogs, there's not really any well-owned players from the Bulldogs or Manly.
Yep. No, happy to move on to the next one.
32-6, mate. Knights, Sharks. The Sharks are proving that they still can't beat top 8 teams. Obviously, Nico out was a big determining factor with that. But Kalen Ponga 126 leads the way again.
And this was an absolute ripper up until after halftime, and then the floodgate sort of opened. I think the score doesn't reflect how much of an arm wrestle this game was. Sharks were pretty good. Knights were really good. Kalen Ponga got a little bit injured. But look, I think if Nico was there, I wonder whether the Sharks would have won this, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Knights definitely weren't at their best. Kalen Ponga pretty much put the team on his back there for a while. I'll tell you who has been an absolute revelation for these guys. Adam Clune has been so good since Jackson Hastings has been out. So, I mean, obviously he's not going to hold his spot when Hastings is fit. But the question marks now start to pop up. It's like, hey, how do we get this guy in our team? Because they've been playing incredibly well since Hastings has been out, and Clune has been top-notch. So not Supercoach relevant. We're talking more football now, but fuck, he's been good.
Yeah, he has been. And could you just, I suppose, being a West Tigers boy, could you just try and pick him up?
100%. I mean, we're kind of set now in terms of halves. We've got we signed Latu Fainu now, which is one of the big plays in terms of next year. Looking at youth, he's a quality player, New South Wales under-19s Origin player. So I'm excited about him, and we've just signed Aiden Caesar as well. So it looks like we've got our halves set. But hey, like there's so many good halves in the competition at the moment that don't have a spot in a first-grade team. So he's definitely going to be a guy that you want to pick up for players or for teams that are looking for halfbacks. Absolutely. In this one, mate, all four of the Knights backline performed as we expected them to perform. Now, when we look at Ponga, 126, but you got Bradman Best 89, Dom Young 83, Gagai 81, Marju 76. So all of them are quality, and you can't go wrong with any of them, really, can you?
No. And as long as the Knights are scoring points, all these guys are going to go well. And their base isn't too bad outside of Dom Young either. Targeting the Knights outside backs obviously has worked for super coaches all year. I'm just a bit disappointed that it took me so long to catch on. So, but Adam Elliott scored 66 as well. I suppose the Sharks without Nico didn't have that attacking upside, so there wasn't a lot. Like the guys that scored, I suppose the points, Cam McInnes would have got most of that in base. Nickera would have got a lot of that in base. Connor Tracy scored their one try and got 67. I suppose without, if Trindle's one of your best halves, then you're in trouble, realistically.
True. It really shows the lack of depth in this squad when you take Nico out of it. Because when you take Nico out of this team, you call them a 8 to 12th team, wouldn't you? Like on paper. Connor Tracy, though, I'm really glad he's getting a run. I fucking rate him so highly. I think he's such a good player. And honestly, he would be able to play fullback or centre or wing at nearly every club in the competition. So I'm glad he's getting a crack. It's just a shame it has to be off the back of an injury. So hopefully there's some players out or some teams out there that are targeting him next year.
Yep.
Not really much else to talk about in this one, mate. Nickera 55 is well owned. Obviously, not going to hurt you too much if you don't own him, but if you do own him, you know that most people have him, so that's not an issue.
Yep.
Jesse Ramian with a 34. Ronaldo Mulatalo with another 25. You know what you're going to get with him. It's going to be 80 or it's going to be 20.
So
it's just one of those. Yep. One of those 20 weeks. Mate, that's this week. Done and dusted, covered. As the season goes on, there's less to talk about because there's kind of limited options now, right? I want to quickly talk about round 27 and what your thoughts are on that. I know we'll talk about it a lot more on Tuesday when team lists come out, but are there any kind of matchups standing out for you next week? Like when we talk about round 27 and where you're looking for trades, if you had any trades left?
Yeah, look, give me a second because the draw's still loading up. So if you have anything, you talk about it. Great.
So for me, the Friday, the 1st of September game with the Sea Eagles against the Tigers, DCE, Homoli Olakawatu and Jason Saab could actually tear the Tigers apart. We know that the left edge of the Tigers defensively is very poor, and we know that the left edge of the Tigers have given up the second most tries in the competition. So Saab, Olakawatu, and DCE, if you don't have any of them and you've got a sneaky trade up your sleeve, and Nico Hines maybe doesn't get named, DCE could be a play. Or if you want to go with the pod CTW, then Jason Saab could be your man. Or maybe Olakawatu is probably a little bit priced out of the market now, but I'd say we're looking at those three guys to have a big game on Friday night.
I'm going to double down on Dallin and go New Zealand against the Dolphins still. I still think that your Sean as long as they're named, your Sean Johnsons, your Dallins, Tohu Harris, if they play, being that ball-playing lock, I think that New Zealand will still want to finish the season strong. I think that they could still score big against the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I agree. Suncorp Stadium as well is usually a real fast track as well. So, like, it's not dewy. You'll probably see a lot of fast football there, and the Warriors like to play fast. So, I'll back SJ in to have a big one there. Just looking through the draw, Panthers against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
Even Titans and the Bulldogs, really, like two leaky teams. Like, It might just be 48-44.
Yeah, it could be. I'm looking at tipping at the moment for next week, and I'm going, I actually have no idea who wins any of these, aside from maybe a couple of matchups. Like the Broncos and the Storm are playing for, maybe the Storm want to lose this one so that they can play the Broncos again next week. And Adam S. has mentioned that there's a chance that the Broncos play the Storm 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
They could play them this week, and then they could play them, obviously, in week 1 of the finals. It's very true. Obviously, the Manly are going to knock off the Tigers. Rabbitohs and the Roosters have a lot to play for as well there. If the Rabbitohs get knocked out, the Roosters probably sneak into the 8 there if the Cowboys lose. The Warriors will beat the Dolphins. Panthers should beat the Cowboys. Knights should beat the Dragons. But then you look at these 2 games on Sunday. Titans versus the Bulldogs, anyone can win that one. And Sharks versus the Raiders, anyone can win that. So, I mean, the advantage is maybe Nico Hines is back on Sunday afternoon at PointsBet, and it is at home for the Sharks. So maybe that could help them. But who knows? There's about 5 or 6 matchups there I couldn't pick.
I think if Nico plays, I've got the Sharks over the Raiders. But let's remember the Raiders. Big Horse, Corey Horsburgh, just got 3 weeks. So he won't be playing either. That's a massive out for Canberra. I think that's enough to make sure their season doesn't go too far. But I could see them making the second round of playoffs anyway, Canberra. So
yeah. No, good point. There's a good point. Corey Horsburgh is a big loss for them. There'll be some suspensions next week as well. So we'll wait to see what the casualty ward is like, because I saw NRL Physio do a little bit of a summary, and it's pretty brutal. I took a quick screenshot. I'm going to try and find it very quickly. So for this week alone, Jerome Luai is out. Gutho with a knee, who obviously it doesn't matter next week now because the Eels have to bye. Luke Metcalf did his hammy. We've got Rocco Berry with a knee. We've got Tamari Martin and Braden Williami return for the final. Braden Williami finally comes back to play the last game of the year. How good is that?
I can't wait for the price rise. I'm going to spend that money accordingly.
Hopefully it transfers over to NBL. Jerome Hughes with a knee. Harry Grant with a shoulder. Then we've got Joey Manu with a hammy. Billy Smith with an eye injury. Victor Radley with a massive cut in his cheekbone. Paddy Carrigan with a foot injury, Adam Reynolds with a calf, Reece Walsh looks like he's done his knee, Payne Haas with a finger injury, Ezra Mann with a knee, Josh Papali'i with a rib injury, Jacob Carraz looks like he's out with back stress fractures for the rest of the year, Braden Burns with a hammy again, Ruben Garrick still has a back fracture, Nico Hines with a quad, Kurt Mann with a sternum, Jackson Hastings with an ankle, Lachlan Fitzgibbon's done his shoulder. That is just this week.
Yep, big week.
It's manic, man. That is manic. Lucky I'm not playing for anything next week. Lucky I'm not in contention of that Zinger voucher. Otherwise, it would be dramas, I think.
But everybody's got to deal with the same thing. So it's just a bit of a luck of the draw at the end. And I'm still going to try and finish strong. I'll try and get my sit starts right. Getting Dallin and Marju in was actually a 2-week play. Like, I like Dallin's matchup against the Dolphins, so I was happy to do that. And I think Newcastle against St. George will still be good on that side. Look, realistically, it was a 2-week play. Trying to finish with my best foot forward, and finish the year off.
Yeah, we'll try and obviously we'll be back on Tuesday and we'll be back on Sunday. You know, like we're not going to just kind of bail on everyone. We'll continue the show and finish things off the way we started. But yeah, we will talk about targets. Obviously, it's not going to be relevant to us. We've got no trades. Neither of us have trades left for the final round, but we'll be talking about sit starts. We'll be talking about the trades we would make if we actually did have some moves to make, or some teams to target for the final round, round 27, for anybody who is overall minded. Mark's just dropped his 2024 Supercoach mantra is: must not buy any Bulldogs players unless their name's Preston, Tigers unless called Coruscant, or Dragons unless called Lomax. And that is a very good Supercoach rule to live by. G'day, Josh. Thanks for watching us, mate. And lastly, saw Eric when a final update's in. I took Ponga off and it left me 4 points behind on my cash comp. Eric, you're going to have a very nervous wake up. Don't know whether you're going to sleep tonight, mate, but when you wake up in the morning, I can guarantee you that updates will be final. So you're going to know in the morning as soon as you open that up whether you've won or not. So good luck. Fingers crossed for you that maybe Ponga loses a few points overnight. I don't see it happening, but maybe it happens. Who knows? Otherwise, mate, that wraps us up for the second last Sunday sesh for 2023. Guys, thanks for jumping on. Obviously, if you're still with us, please hit subscribe, please hit like, and if you're still listening at the end, please hit follow for us on wherever it is you get your audio podcasts, and leave us a review so we can reach more people. Otherwise, mate, that'll do us. Thanks for jumping on with me. I know you've been crook. Appreciate it. Couple more to go, and we're done for the year, and then the NBL and the BBL kick in. So very exciting times ahead for Insight. And if you're an NBA fan, I should say, make sure to stick with us. We're dropping daily content. Otherwise, we will catch you on Tuesday for Teamless Tuesday. Have a good one.
Cheerio.